Happy Valentine's Day, gang. Look, I am here today to help you all with your recoil. I don't want any more raging about, oh, you have a Chronos, or oh, you use hacks, you use cheats, you use scripts. Gang, you gotta learn your recoil patterns on these weapons, and this game actually added a totally free way to do that, and I'll give you a breakdown in this video. If you're new to the channel, enjoy the content, man, hit that sub button, push that like button. Let's get right into it, gang. Alright, gang, first step you're gonna want to do is go to your weapons, make your weapon of choice. I'm just gonna use the cast off for this example because it does have quite a bit of recoil, but it's extremely dominant. So I feel like these are the guns you really want to work on, guns that aren't just super laser beams, guns that actually have a little bit of kick. This is where you're going to want to use this method. So with this cast off 762, you select the weapon and then you hit Y or triangle if you are on PlayStation to get into your firing range. Instead of just going out here and aimlessly shooting, you're going to back up at this wall, or you can back up at this door. I like looking at the wall because it's a little more distance. And you're going to keep your hands off of the joysticks and just let the gun spray an entire mag all the way. And then when you actually come up to this wall, you can see the pattern of the bullets for this one. So you can see for the first few shots, the first three are perfectly vertical. After the first three, it starts to veer off a little bit right. And then right here, probably around shot 9 or 10, it's going to kind of go heavy right and then up all the way up to the right. So our pattern's looking like this. And what you're going to want to do to counter this pattern is the complete opposite. So for our first few shots, we're going to go perfectly down, and then as it starts to go right, you want to pull your joystick down to the left to compensate. So here's what I mean. So we come up here, we go straight down and a little bit down to the left just for these little mini bursts. And then you kind of get the hang of that. But then we kind of need to map out like the direct spray pattern for an entire clip. So we're going to go ahead and unleash this at the wall and see how well we can do now that we know the pattern. Alright, so at first I shot a little bit high here, but this pattern right here is after we got that initial control. But notice when I'm doing these shots, I'm standing perfectly still. I'm not actually moving left or right, and that's where this next tip's going to come in. That's pretty solid right there. It's not too bad. I mean, that is definitely going to stay on player. But what you need to focus on now, instead of actually having to pull your joystick really heavy to the sides, you can actually strafe your character a little bit. And what you'll notice is that that will keep it relatively in the same group. So whenever you're taking super far shots, you can actually strafe your player a little bit to the left. We know that the recoil for this gun's going to be towards the right. So as we're taking these pop shots, we're just going to kind of move our operator to the left. And another thing this is going to do is prevent you from getting shot so easy. So again, gang, you're going to want to memorize your recoil pattern. If we were to do it on the door, it might be a little easier to see. So we're going to start here. We're just going to shoot straight up. And here we go again. See, it's up to the right, has a little kink at the middle. So we come out here and we're going to just kind of pull down and move over to the left to counter that recoil. And you'll see that's a laser beam accuracy. As if we were to try to stand still and compensate it, it's still definitely doable. It's just not as stable as if you were to move to the right to compensate instead of using your joystick. Let's move on to another gun. Let's just pick, let's see. Seiken's kind of a laser beam. Let's use the RAL. The RAL's pretty accurate, but it does have a good amount of kick. We've used this wall, so let's just kind of go over here. We're going to try to control 30 or 40 of these shots just to get an idea of where we're at. That's a pretty tight pattern, but with a gun like this, we could definitely make that better. So we're going to spray this at the wall. As you can see, it comes up and then it really just holds. So for this gun, being slightly up and to the right, we're just going to spray out and kind of go left. And then you can actually hold the spray as well. When a gun like this is so laser accurate, we really need to, let's do it after this spray pattern. So I'm just kind of moving down to the left because the recoil went right on this weapon. So we're just going to kind of stay here. And then actually I'm gonna reload this and just do one solid spray through 3 targets, and then we'll take a gun with no attachments, so we'll have like, you know, horrible recoil profile, and we'll go from there. So for here we're just gonna stay down, and I mean that's as laser accurate as it gets, which maybe isn't the best example, but hey, you gotta learn somehow. So let's see, we're gonna leave firing range. Let's grab a class. Let's see, let's take this M13 class, switch over to like the Chimera. Let's try this build. So a lot of people complain this build had quite a bit of recoil. We'll just take this pattern here on the left side right here. Alright, so this was a lot of up and to the left. Pretty straightforward at first, and then aggressively up and to the left. So for this, we're really going to do the opposite. So instead of moving our bodies to the left of the joystick to the left, we're going to be going right. So we're going to be pulling down to the right. That should be a pretty solid little spray right there. And then comparing it to actual targets, just down to the right should keep us on. Let's see, there we go. It looks like it has a pretty heavy vertical recoil as well, so we're going to be a little more dramatic with the joystick pulling it down. But it should be relatively close in terms of just aiming, you know, aiming at chest. Farther targets like this, you'd think, you know, you might want to aim at the head and shoot, but if we were to aim here and just let it fly, we're already in the ceiling. So with a target like this, you know, I can just burst fire right here beside it. You're gonna see that's already kind of catching the head in that spray. I know we're trying to sit here and control the recoil, but this is a close range build. I don't know how many meters out that is, but let's see if that's 10, 20, that's probably 50 meters right there. We're just gonna pull that trigger straight down. And again, this is a gun with some heavy recoil. So being able to maintain shots at these distance are gonna help a lot. Some guns actually have a snake pattern to their spray. Let's see, I think the cast-off does. We'll bring this orbiter build into the firing range. Of course, it has a super thermal on it. So let's see. That's a pretty solid example. It kind of went up, left, and then right. So for something like that, you can definitely move your operator left, then right when you are spraying. Man, that scope is horrendous. To keep you on track, let's see. But it's not too common. It was more common in the last COD. The Galil, for instance, definitely had like a double recoil pattern to it, but you can see this thing's staying pretty locked in on target as I'm moving left to right. So it's really just a balance between knowing the pattern of the gun and also like joystick control, but this is going to be the most proficient way you can actually learn your recoil patterns. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you to take every single gun in the game and try to memorize them all, but obviously there's going to be different metas in this game, and as there are different metas, you need to learn recoil patterns for each. So again, let's just try this gun out. We'll shoot here. See, this one's pretty straightforward. It goes up slightly to the left, comes back around, then heavy to the right. So for this, really, I mean, it's going to be rare that you're ever at this final end of the spray. These shots should be pretty guaranteed. So we're just going to kind of go straight up and down, maybe a little bit of a right tweak on it as we shoot. And that should give us a little more balanced out of a spray when we're trying to control these recoil patterns. Take the TAC 56 for instance, so we're gonna just spray it at this left side of the wall. See, for this weapon, it really is mostly just straight up and down. It goes right, cocks back left, and then comes up right. So, you know, at the end of your spray, you could add a little bit of a shift, but for the most part, a lot of guns in this game do go right. It's definitely like a super pattern in this game. I think it's just more natural to be able to pull the joystick down to the left because you're pushing it. But these guns really do seem to have pretty good of a like a laser accuracy. But that's really having your control. If I were to just sit here and spray at these targets aimlessly, I'm not really doing too well. You know, these up close targets, you're obviously going to have some aim assist. This gun doesn't have too terrible of a recoil, but you're not going to be nailing your shots. So this is really where you want to get your movement in. You're trying to make yourself harder to hit, but you're also hitting your targets more efficiently. And I think that's something a lot of players mess up on. So look, give this a try. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And remember, gang, before everyone starts dropping Listen, before everyone goes to, the big streamers and they drop Cronus accusations, or aimbot, whatever, they put a lot of time into this game. And if you don't have a ton of time to play the game, this is a great way to get your aim up efficiently. I'm telling you, these players know how to control recoil to these weapons because they use them so much. And if you're a player, you come home after work, you get fried out and you're thinking, why can't I hit shots with this class? I copied this streamer's build. Why can't I hit my shots with it? It's probably because you haven't learned it yet. So this is where you need to come in here, dial in your accuracy, and take it from there. Look, if you're new to the channel, enjoy the content, man, hit that sub button, press that like button. I'll catch y'all tomorrow for another heater. Let's get it again.